functionalities of the permit agent dashboard and how to create permits and pay for permits. So if anybody has any questions, I've already muted the entire group, but if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat, and we will have a Q&A session towards the end of this meeting. Towards the middle of this meeting, after we're done training on basic functionality, we'll also give you guys a brief overview of how to run a pre-trip planning route, how to get a basic route using our pre-trip planning functionality. And Caitlin and Kayla from our JS group will be heading up that portion of the training. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started in just a second, and then we'll share my screen here. All righty. So this here is going to be the eSNOOPI Pro login page. It will have this login below with a sign in as saw user button. It will also have some important news and announcements to the right. You'll also have a link to create companies. However, being that you all are permit agents of the state of Washington, you already have accounts established by the time we go to production. You'll be able to use your SAW logins as you normally would from this login page, and that'll take you to permitting where your accounts and logins will have already been established at that time. So with that being said, we'll just go ahead and log in as a permit agent. We click this button. It takes us to the SAW login page where you'll enter in your username and password. I've already got mine saved from my Chrome browser, so I'll just select that. It'll autofill my password. And again, if that's not something that you've saved to your browser, you'll just type it in here, your username and password, and then you hit submit. Once you click submit on the SAW login page, you'll be redirected to our permitting system. And this is what we like to call just the dashboard. This is where your permits that you've ordered for companies will be housed. As you can see, we've got a permit queue here that has different company names listed. These are all the companies that this particular permit agent or permit service has issued permits for. You can also search for any particular permit using the ID, the permit number, the type, a unit number, issue date, start date, or VIN number. If you're looking to narrow down the list quite a bit and you have that, that information handy, you can type it into this filter here and it will pull that information up. For example, if we take this permit number, you just copy and paste it here, and it'll filter it so you can see just that single permit number there. And if you scroll to the bottom, if there ends up being a lot of permits on this page, you can see modify the number of items you can see on this first page, whether it's 25, 50, or 100. But if it's more than the limit that you've set, there is a next button here or next link here that takes you to the next page, so you can view additional permits that may not be listed on that very first page. Following that, a couple of actions that you could do for each of these permits, it's dependent upon it's the status that is assigned to the particular permit. For example, this permit here, as you can see, has a status of issued to Kit Trucking Company. You can do a few things with this permit. You can click this arrow right here, which will allow you to view the permit's details. In here, we've got the details page where you can see just the general information, and you can even resend the permit by email. You can also view the vehicle and the load that was permitted. You can also view the PDF if you need to re-download the PDF here because it's an issued permit, among other things. You can also add notes. Going back to the dashboard, you also have the ability to copy an issued permit. Here with this icon, if you hover over the icon, it's got the little plus sign there. If you click this icon, it copies the permit. What this does is it creates a new permit application. You won't be able to change the type of permit it is because you're copying, a previously issued permit. But you would be able to change, if applicable, you'll be able to change the dimension information and things like that within the permit application. You just won't be able to change the permit type if you're copying a previously issued. The next thing I do want to go into is company management, where we can look at your company management for your particular permit service. So in order to do that, we have a link on the left-hand side here called Company Management. If we click that, it'll take you to the company information page. Now, this particular functionality is managed by users that are set to a supervisor account within the permit service or permit agent account. So the user that I'm currently logged in as does have permissions to view the company management portal, which is here. You have the ability to change the DBA if you need to, the contact email if necessary, and you also change the delivery method. Right now, we've set it to just web download, and also the phone number information. As you can see here, there is a customer code field that will be assigned to your account. This is not something that you can edit or change. This is something that is managed by WashDOT. They'll be able to input the customer code on your behalf into this account, but that's not something you can change. Going into company assets, there's a few things you can change here. Starting with contacts, you can add or create new contacts. That's just a contact person for this particular account. You can add new addresses, physical or mailing addresses, or edit any existing addresses that are there. We have the ability to add or edit terminals, and then also add or edit users. We'll go ahead and create a new user here. Once you click create new user, you'll see this user management page that is blank. So here you have the opportunity to give them a first and last name. You also have the ability to change their user type. This is where you determine if this particular user will have the powers or abilities to modify company management information, if they'll have that permission to do so or not. If you would like for them to have those supervisory permissions, you select supervisor. If not, you just select user. You also need to have a SAW login username. So at this point, what you could do is you could go ahead and give them a SAW username in this field. And then this user will need to go off into SAW and create their SAW login on the SAW side of things. With that, you won't need to do that for your logins when we go to production. Like I said, we'll already have your SAW logins tied to your permitting accounts. So when we go live, all you'll have to do is just log in with your SAW login and you take it directly to permitting. It's just in the future, if we're adding new users, those users will need to have both a permitting account with a SAW login username and then a SAW login created in SAW that matches this particular username. So you can do that in any order. You can create the SAW username first and then create this user, or you can create this user and then create the SAW login. However, the SAW login usernames will have to match between this site and SAW. All right. And then these next fields, you have some preferences that you can set here. These are really just personal preferences and how you would like to view date formats, time formats, and this is just how long you would like to see this particular message display on the screen. So, for example, if we hit save, you'll see this. Oh, we've got to enter in some information here. So, if you don't complete the fields, you'll have the system will bark at you and let you know that you're missing some information. So we go back to preferences. If we hit save, it'll give us a little pop-up message at the bottom. This timeout message or this toast message timeout determines how long that message stays visible, and we just defaulted it to 3 seconds. So that is the basic functionalities of managing a user or creating a new user within your permit service or permit agent account. What I would like to look at next is creating a new account, a new carrier account. Let's say, for example, someone reaches out to you and is needing a permit, but they don't yet have an account in the system. What you would do is you would have to create them an account in the system. So we have a new link here, or a new company link, I should say, here on the left-hand side. Once we click that, it takes you to a new account drop down here, and you have a couple of options. What we'll do is you can do a DOT or permits in my name, but do not have a used DOT. So normally I'll just go ahead and select don't have a DOT. Then we'll click create account. This starts the setup process, and it'll bring you to a page that collects additional information. So we'll just go ahead and type in a company name and then a phone number for this carrier. I'll just put my own email in there so I get the email notifications. And as you can see, the fields that are required are marked with an asterisk. So you can complete those fields in and leave the others blank if you don't have that information or don't wish to provide it. We do capture the street address, both physical and mailing. So we'll just go ahead and put an address in here. And I'll just make up an address. And you also have the ability to click same as physical, which basically brings down the address from the physical down to the mailing. And as you can see here, you will not be able to create any type of users for this carrier, because all you're doing is you're creating this particular account in the system. There's not going to be any users associated to that account. However, they can be permitted by you guys, or really whomever is trying to permit this particular company. They'll be able to do so. There will just not be any logins tied to this account. So we'll go ahead and click create company. As you can see, the account has been created successfully. So we're just going to hit return to dashboard. All right. All right. So now that we're back on the dashboard, that person's calling you saying they need a permit. You have their accounts set up in the system. You can now order their permit for them. However, they don't yet have any vehicles in their vehicle inventory. You got a few ways you can add those vehicles. Let's go ahead and start this permit, and I'll show you what kind of looks like. We'll search for that particular company. As you can see, that company is now in our system. That company name. If we hit next, it'll pre-fill in this information from the user that's currently logged in, which I'm logged in as a permit service or permit agent. It'll put my information there. Next. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do a monthly annual, and we're gonna do, just for simplicity, a collection truck, for example. And then you have the opportunity to select your start and end dates. And here you can see there's a brief description of the permit that you're trying to order or that you're needing a permit for this particular company. The description does update and change based on the permit type that you're trying to get. So we'll just go ahead and next. So when we get to this page, as you can see, they don't have any vehicles in their vehicle inventory at the moment. There's nothing there for you to select from. So what you could do is you can go ahead and type in a unit number, select a year, select a make, a VIN, a plate. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll just select a couple of fields here, test VIN, and this will be just a fake VIN number and a fake license plate number with a fake state. Or Alabama's not fake. We'll go with Alabama. And then a unit number. So as you can see, you have the ability to add the vehicle here. So this just adds this particular vehicle to the inventory. Now it's going to be selectable as a vehicle in this particular dropdown. So that's one way to add a vehicle to your inventory. I'm just going to hit and save and exit this permit application. I do want to, before we go through the permit order process, I do want to show you how you can add a fleet of vehicles to the company. And in order to do that, you have the ability to do a vehicle, what we call the vehicle import, right here on the left-hand side. So if we click vehicle imports, so you can see here, this page allows you to import an Excel spreadsheet to the company that you want to import the spreadsheet for. It's got quite a few rules here that must be followed in order for it to behave appropriately. So, but we'll walk you through what needs to happen on this particular page. So first of all, we need to decide what company we're importing this spreadsheet or this vehicle inventory to. So we'll just go ahead and use our test company, Dad's Boats. All right, and then here in this choose file option here, we'll click that, and you'll need to have the file saved to your desktop or a folder or somewhere on your computer that you can find and select. So that's what I just did. I already had a file saved to my desktop that has vehicles that I could add to this particular inventory. Here, it does ask you to identify which column, which data type is in which column. Um, for this here, the first one, it says the unit number is in column, and then we look in our spreadsheet down here. It pulls in the spreadsheet. The unit number is in column 1. It already knows that this is a unit. The column 1 is a unit number, so it'll pre-select 1 for us, and also a 2. But sometimes, if your spreadsheet is not in the exact format that I have here, it could be that the system will select a column that is not accurate. So you'll have to go through and select each of these columns and make sure that it's accurate in the sense that this field says the unit number your column is, and you can select the correct column. The system's already selected the correct columns for us here. As you can see, we don't have a terminal column. We can just leave that at H or at whatever the system assigns to that. The important thing on this particular page is, and it depends on how your spreadsheet is set up. A lot of people have a header row, but not everybody has a header row. And so this right here says data starts on row 1, 2, 3, or 4. You need to select which row the data starts on. So in our spreadsheet, because we have a header row, the data does not actually start until row 2. So we'll have to select row 2. So people that don't have a header in their spreadsheet, they would obviously select row 1 because the data would start with just row 1. But since we have a header row, we'll start it on row 2. And this just tells the system, this is where the data starts in regards to the vehicle information. So once we've got our columns and our row defined, you can review what the data was that was pulled in from the spreadsheet below. And then once you're ready, just hit import sheet. And it tells you here the number of vehicles that are being imported, which ones succeeded and which ones failed. And if any of them failed, it would be listed here with the reason why it failed. But all our 10 of our vehicles imported successfully. So we'll just return to our dashboard. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a new permit application for Dad's Boats because we just imported their vehicle, their list of vehicles. Show you what that kind of looks like on their side here. As you can see, our information is already auto-populated for us also. Let's just select that collection truck for simplicity. All right, we're back on this particular vehicle page. As you can see, we click this. As you can see, it's got the list of all of the vehicles that were imported. And it also has the 109, which was a vehicle that I added from this page earlier previously. So now you have the ability to just select any one of these vehicles that you're looking to permit. And then if any information is changed for this vehicle, let's say this one vehicle in particular, you're needing to change the VIN and then or something like that, or the plates, you have the ability to update the vehicle here. And what this does is it updates the vehicle's information for this permit application, but it will also update it in the vehicle inventory so that the next time you start a new permit and you select vehicle 10315, it will have the updated information each and every time. So you have a couple of ways to modify vehicles in an inventory as well. All right, so we'll hit next. Each permit, when we hit next, what this does is it goes off to a Washington state system to verify vehicle information or vehicle registered weight and things like that. If there is not a match, you do get this pop-up that says there's not a match on file with the state of Washington for the VIN/plate that was entered. And it just confirms your entry. If you don't want to make any changes, you can go back and forth to make changes. If not, you can just click OK here. What this does is it'll take you to the next page. So on this page here, each permit application is going to look a little bit different. It just depends on the information and the data that is being collected for each of the permit applications. For this one in particular, your load description is going to be collection truck. You won't be able to change that. As you can see, your width and height are set to legal. That's not something that you can change. And your overall length is set to 40 feet. That is also preset to where you cannot make changes to that. For the collection truck, we do have a drop down here for you to select your number of axles, whether it's 2 or 3. This would determine, the fee amount that you ultimately pay at the end of this permit application process. So we'll go ahead and select 3. And it will give you the information that's allowed on a 3-axle collection truck. Gross weight of 42,000 pounds, legal weight of 34,000 pounds with an excess drive axle weight of 8,000 pounds. And if we change the selection to 2, it'll give you the gross and legal axle weight and the excess for the 2-axle collection truck. So you have the option to just select 2 or 3 there, and your information here does update according to what your selection is. Hit next. Here is just some general permit conditions that have been applied to this permit type. This is not something you can edit or change. This is something that will be printed on the permit itself, and we'll take a look at that as soon as we issue this particular permit. Hit next. And here on the summary page, it's just an overview of the permit application itself. You can see that we are Pro Mouse Test 3. That's the name of our permit service. We're ordering for Dad's Boats. And this is the fee for this particular permit. And then here's the contact information, followed by the permit type information, and the start and end dates, and vehicle information. And of course, your dimensions and load, and followed by your conditions. So with that, we'll go ahead and just hit submit. And being that this permit is a self-issuable permit type, you can go ahead and collect payment for this or pay for this particular permit right away. The permit ID is 6710. That's an internal identifier that we use to reference permit applications that have not yet been issued. So what we'll do is we won't pay for this permit right away. You have the option to. You can click pay for permits now, or if you don't wish to pay for it yet, you can go back to the dashboard. So you can see there's now one permit sitting in the shopping cart for $336, and that's the one that we had just put there. So we'll just go to shopping cart. Here we've got the permit listed in the shopping cart. You can go ahead and hit select, and then you can hit checkout. What this does is it brings you to the permit to be authorized page, lists your amounts, and lists your payment type of agent payment. This is the only type of payment that you will have is agent payment. You won't be able to collect any other payment type. It'll just be agent payment. What you do have to do is you do have to attest to this particular attest statement before you can process the payment. If you do not attest to this statement, you cannot. It will not allow you to click the process payment button. We're just going to click process payment, and then you also have to click confirm. Once we do that, the system will process this particular payment. It'll give you the permit number as well as the PDF, which you can click to download. And here is the permit PDF for the permit we just ordered. As you can see, because this carrier was a non-US DOT carrier, they did not have a US DOT on the face of the permit. You will see non-commercial carrier. We won't display the DBA or address, and then of course the DOT is NA as well. Then of course we'll list your route information, your conditions, along with the signature line. All right, and specific to this particular permit, collection truck, we do have the collection truck restrictions that are added to the end of the permit PDF for this particular permit. All right, so that's how you start and finish a self-issuable annual permit. The next one I would like to show you is one that does not self-issue. So we'll go ahead and start a new permits. We're going to permit the same company, Dad's Boats. However, we'll change our permit type to one that will not self-issue, a different one here. We're going to go ahead and do the monthly annual, and we're going to go ahead and select farm implements farmer or dealers, like farm implements dealer. And then again, it gives you the brief permit description. On this one's a little bit different because you do have to select your duration, whether you want 3, 6, 9, or 1 year. This determines the amount, the fee that will be paid at the end of the permit process. We'll go ahead and select 6 months. And of course, you can select your start end date. Just hit next. And then here again, you can select your vehicle. I'll select 10315, which is what we selected earlier. And as you can see, it's got that same test VIN update that I updated earlier because we updated it and it takes effect and updates it in the inventory for all future permits. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And again, it does the background check for the vehicle. And again, because we won't have a match for that particular vehicle because it's just a test VIN and test plate. For this one, as you can see, it's a little bit different in that you don't select your 2 or 3 axles because it's a different permit type. However, it's the same concept where we give you the length, the width that you're allowed, the height that you're allowed, the length that you're allowed, along with the front and rear overhangs. They're going to be legal. We do have some text here that gives you a bit more information on width being legal in Washington at 8.6 and height being legal in Washington at 14 feet tall. And again, this dimension information is not something you can change. It's preset. This is what will print on the face of the permit. So go ahead and hit next. Here you do have the ability to select different counties that the carrier is going to be traveling in or that they're interested in traveling. You have the ability to select all or the ability to select just a few. So we'll select just a few here. We're going to go ahead and hit next. And then again, we have the permit conditions that will be applied to this particular permit. And this is not something you can edit or change, but it will be printed on the face of the permit. Next. And same as the previous permit application, this is just the summary page that gives you a breakdown of information pertaining to this particular permit, along with the fees. So we'll just go ahead and scroll down and hit submit. As you can see earlier, our status was pending payment because it was self-issuable and ready for payment. This particular permit is now has a status of pending. Our permit ID again is 6711. At this point, what we have to do is we'll have to wait for this particular permit to be reviewed and approved by WashDOT. So on our dashboard, we can see, if we look for this particular permit, we can see that it's got a status of pending. And it's not in our shopping cart at the moment. So we've got another team member on the call, George, who's going to go ahead and approve of this particular permit on the state user side. And once he does that, he'll let us know, and then we'll be able to view on our dashboard the new status and that it's going to be in our shopping cart for us to pay for. So George, just please let me know once that is completed. We'll take a look at it.
Yep, almost there. Okay, it's approved now.
All right, so we'll just go ahead and refresh our page. All right, as you can see, our shopping cart permit already went up by 1 with a cart total of $50. So we'll just go ahead and click go to shopping cart. Here we select our one payment, and again 6711 was our permit ID, which is our internal identifier until we issue the permit and receive a permit number. So we'll select the $50. We'll hit check out. And again, agent payment will be the payment type. And then you also have to attest to the attest statement. And then you hit process payment, confirm. And again, you get your permit number and the ability to view the PDF. Download the PDF. And again, because our company was a non-US DOT non-commercial carrier, we're issued the face of the permit displays non-commercial carrier and does not display any other information pertaining to that carrier. But it does give you the dimensions that were that you saw on the screen earlier. Along with the conditions. And the interesting thing about this particular permit that's different from the collection truck is that we do list out the counties that you'd select or that the carrier wanted that you selected for them on the screen earlier. So these are the selected counties to be traveled in. And then for this, for the farmers permits, we do also include this particular letter that is attached to the permit. It just gives them uh, some information about the permit that they're approved. It gives you the counties that it's approved for, along with some contact information at the bottom of the maintenance of WashDOT maintenance offices. All right. So that is the basic workflow or walkthrough of an annual permit that will not self-issue. That does go through the state permit office for approval before it gets sent back to you all for payments. So the next thing that I would like to look at is you'll see a couple of things, links here called outside agents. So the first one we want to look at is under the finance link right here. So we click finance, we have this page called outside agent activity. What this does is it lets you at a quick view or a quick glance view transactions and activities that have been done by the agents of this particular permit service. So you can see my date defaults to the day 11:30 to 11:30, but we do see the two permits that I have issued here just a few minutes ago, one for the $50 and one for the $336. The agent fee is a commission that's been assigned to each of these permits, so it's $7 total. And here we have the amount owed to the state minus the $7. So as you can see, it's $50 here. The agent fee is $350, and then this is the total amount owed to the state at $46.50. Same thing here. $336 was the permit fee. Here we have the agent fee commission, and then minus that is $332.50. You also have the ability to view this view at a greater date range, I think here. Let's see. May not have any data in for this particular permit type or permit service. There we go. So we got a few more records that were done in the past that are totaled up here for you too. So we'll have a history of that. Another thing that I do want to show you that's similar to this interface is the outside agent activity report, which is listed under here, outside agent activity reports. So we'll click that. That'll take us to this reports screen here that allows us to generate an Excel or PDF file. You can select a specific month or a year. So we'll go ahead and select November and 2023. Just generate report, and it will generate that report for us in an Excel format because that's what we had selected. As you can see, it gives us a report for the entire month of November, including any payments, debits, things like that. And again, this is just some test information here that one of our team members was testing the particular account with, but it will give you the date that's been issued along with the amounts, the agent fees, and the amounts that were owed to the state. So hopefully this gives you the ability to run quick reports on your end, whether it's on a monthly basis or you can do it for the year or multiple months and things like that. This and that is the basic functionality of the outside agents being able to view their finance outside agent activity and also again running inactivity reports from the outside agent report screen. And again, this is just the basic dashboard that houses all the permits that have been issued by you all or by your particular permit service to the various carriers. So without much further on our list to demo, I do want to hand it over to our GIS team. That is going to be Kaylin, Kayla, and Brittany. They'll be taking over sharing the screen here in just a second and going through some basic routing with using our pre-trip planning. So without Kaylin, are y'all ready?
Yes, I'm ready. This is Brittany.
Or
So,
Brittany,
hey
sorry.
guys, can you see my screen?
Yep.
So on this left-hand panel, we're going to go to the pre-trip planning. This is how you can see a route without actually creating a permit. You just want to see what your route would be or just get a roundabout. So we're just going to fill in some dimensions. So I'm just going to use some test dimensions. I'm going to use a 10-foot 2 width, a 14-foot 2 height, 45 feet in length, and we're going to do 20,000 pounds in weight. With that, I don't have to type in any information about my customer or anything, because again, this is just a mock route. So when we get here, this is going to look pretty similar to your permit page when you're doing a route. So you're going to see we have origin and destination. If you click this first drop down here, you're going to see we have several different options. We can do address, we can do the intersection of 2 roads, we can do a lat long that if you have one from Google, or if you just want to click on the map in general and just select a spot, you can use lat long. And you have border crossing. So for this first example, we're going to do border crossing. When we click border crossing, you're going to see my boxes change. It's going to be a different drop down. When I click this drop down, you're going to see every single time a state-owned road intersects with the border. So say I want to come in on I-5 at the Oregon state line, I can simply do that, and it's going to start me at that state line. At this point, we are going to want to put a destination. So if you want to select on the map, maybe you can go here. When you do this, you're going to be able to paste a lat long, or you're going to be able to click this find button here. If I click this find button here, it's going to open the map up, and I'm able to select anywhere on this map that I want. So for this example, I'm just going to select a destination over here. You'll just zoom in and you'll select the destination. So when I want to select the destination, I'll just click the select radio button and I'll select on the road where I want to go. When I do that, you're going to see a red balloon pops up. This means that's my destination, and I can click done. At this point, you're going to see that a lat long pre-populates into this box, and I can click a route. So we're just going to go ahead and let that load a little bit. At this point, it's thinking about what is the best possible route with your dimensions and any restrictions. Once I do that, you can see I have a blue line. So now you're going to see a green balloon and you're going to see a red balloon. The green balloon is my origin. The red balloon is my destination. You're also going to see a blue line. This blue line is the trip that it's taking. Some other things to note on this map are the green. I'm sure you see the green highlights. This is our on system. On system means where you can go within the state. It's any state-owned road. Anything that is not green means you cannot go there, and that's a local road. It's probably something that like a city street that you live on. You'll also see red highlights. Red highlights are restrictions. These are any type of restrictions that you're not allowed to go through with your dimensions. So say you are 12 foot wide and this red light right here on this road, there's a 10 foot wide restriction, then that means you're not going to be able to go there. If you're ever curious of what a restriction is, you can always zoom in on the red highlight and click the get restriction information for road. When you do that, you can click the said red highlight and it'll tell you what the restriction is. So right here, we can see on Washington 821 between these 2 mileposts, they're not issuing any permits whatsoever right now. So if you wanted to go there for whatever reason, you can always submit it to the permit office and say, hey, I have permission to go here, please approve me, but that's how you do that. Some other things to note on this map, if you go over here, you can change the map layer and have a different kind of view. You can also see satellite view if you would like to see the satellite view of the map. If you want to make this really big, you can click this expand screen button in the right-hand corner. When you do that, it'll take over your whole screen. If you want to exit, you can just click the exit key on your keyboard. And some other things to note, say for some reason you just wanted to see this area on Google, or you just didn't know what it looked like, or you had a question, you could take this little Google man and you're able to easily drop yourself on Google Street View just to get a view of what that road looks like. You can go in and out. And last but not least, you can open a Google page right here. So that is basically the map functions. Some other things to know outside of the map functions is below the map, you'll have your dimensions. So this is dimensions of your permit. If you ever want to see what size permit you had again, bridges, it tells you any bridges you cross in your route, and last but not least, you have your turn-by-turn driving directions. So this would be your origin, your destination, and every single turn and ramp that you will take in between. But I think that is about it. That is just a quick overview of how routing works. Kit, did you have anything else you would like me to show?
No, ma'am. I think we're good with routing. I do want to open it up for any questions that anyone might have. If we could take those one at a time, or if there's any questions that have been in the chat, I can check that. I don't think anyone has any questions in the chat. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, there should be a raise hand feature at the top. If you want to do that and let us know if you have any questions, whether it's for the the basic functionality for permitting that I demoed earlier, or whether it's for GIS that Brittany has gone through here. Let us know.
Okay, it looks like we have one hand up.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Just one thing is, depending upon the permit type, insurance information is necessary. Like earlier, while setting up an account, we have to, update the insurance information. It is now also it's mandatory while creating an account, or depending upon the permit type, insurance is required.
I'm sorry, which field were you referring to?
As of now, the I'm sorry. I think I'm good as of now. Sorry for that. My question is for a different. Yeah, it's good.
All right.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah.
No problem. Does anyone else have any questions for us?
Looks like we got a question in the chat, kid.
All right, let's take a look. The launch on December 4th, that is still going to be trip fuel and annual permits first, and route specific permits will come later, right? Excuse me. Yes, that is what we are planning. That is correct.
I have a comment, more than a question. Just for the agents, for the vehicle verification type, the system will not have any passenger car information. We will have very limited commercial vehicle Canadian information. It should, for continental US, we will have most of the commercial vehicles for prorated for Washington. So an Oregon vehicle that's prorated for Washington, we should probably have that data, and if it doesn't validate, that could indicate a typo on the plate, state, or VIN. But no passenger car and very limited Canadian vehicles, just. We don't get the data electronically from them.
Thank you, Angela. Courtney is asking if we could show a split trip.
Okay.
Split trip.
So yeah, we can show a quick split trip. I didn't have one prepared, but let me see if I can try to find one. We're just gonna act like we're wanting to go through this city right here. We're wanting to pick up right here. So if we did want to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a lat long just so I can have this area. I wanted to add. Hey, I don't think I can actually show a split trip on the pre-trip.
Courtney, we'll do split trip trainings when we go live. Well, before we go live with single trips, if that's okay, or routed permits. Excellent.
Okay, and I think Natalie had a question. It says, "Will overweight permits still require an actual spacing report?"
So for overweight permits, when you start an overweight permit application, which won't be part of the live launch on December 4th, we will be collecting overweight information, axle information within the permit application itself. There won't be a report for you to save or submit or anything like that with the new system. But once you have a permit that's been issued, what you could do is you'll be able to copy that particular permit and reuse that permit for a new application for the next go round. You'll also have the opportunity to change those overweight axles or weights and spacings and things like that on that new application. So there's not a report per se, but we do collect axle weights and spacings in our permit application. And it's very similar. If you're familiar with any of our other ProMiles projects, it's very similar in that regard, where you have a page where you collect, your spacings and then your weights for each of those particular axles. Nancy Morris had a question: how we do trip and fuel permits. We can demo that to you. We do have that ready to go if you would like to see that. I'll go ahead and share that here. Just a second. All right. All right. So I'm logged in as the permit service user here. In order to start one of those trip and fuel permits, we just do the same where we search for the particular company or carrier we're wanting a permit. And for trip and fuel permits, you do select a temporary licensing fuel tonnage. That's just a third option that we have there. And then once you select that, you have the ability to select which one of these you're looking at permitting, whether it's the fuel, the trip, or the combo. And then once you select that, you just run through the permit application as you would any other application with selecting your vehicle. And then you would also view the permit conditions. And here's the summary page that gives you the fees for both the fuel and the trip. And then you just there at the end this is something unique to this one, to the fuel permits and the trip permit. There is an attest statement at the very end that you do have to select. It says, I understand that the trip and fuel permits can be voided or altered after being issued. Just hit submit. And then now the permit is pending payment for you to submit payments. So the process for each of the permit applications is very similar to each one. I mean, each one it may have a different process at the end where it would require, review and approval by WashDOT. But for the most part, it's, you start the permit application, and then there's some other actions that may be needed, and then you issue the permit or you pay for the permit at the end. That's the basic process of each of these permit applications. That's our issue permit PDF. As you can see, this one's a little bit different also because if you look here, the permit number, it's got a TF in it for trip and fuel. All of our other permit numbers do not have a letter. The ones that do have letters in them would be trip and fuel or trip only. So that's a little difference between each of the different permit types that we have, just to signify that, hey, this one is a trip and fuel permit. All right, let me check the chat here, see if there are any other questions we have. Thank you, Michelle, for commenting on the single trips and axle reports. All right, does anyone else have any other questions? I don't see any new ones in our chat. All right, just a reminder, we do have, there is another, will the process be different for entering a self-propelled vehicle such as gross axle weight and legal weight? Michelle, would you like to answer that in our chat, or would you like us to demo that? I'm not sure where.
So I can put an answer in the chat as well. the system will calculate your legal weight and your permitted weight for you with your axle entry. So regardless of which self-propelled in the new system is just going to be a single unit vehicle. And when you enter a single unit vehicle that is overweight, you'll enter your axle entry. The system will tell you what your legal weight is based on your axle entry and what your permitted weight is based on your axle entry. Does that answer the question, Rebecca or Becky?
Yes, I believe it does.
Okay. Then Angela has was the out of service PRISM check before permits can be issued mentioned. So Kit, did we talk about PRISM?
We
Out
did
of
not
service?
discuss PRISM. No, ma'am.
So do you want me to cover that or?
Sure. You can go ahead and cover that. Let me see if I have. At the moment, I don't have. Let me see if I have a permit that we can show.
Sure. So I'll explain a little bit while you're looking for that. So if you are familiar with any of our other systems, you know that we check Safer or we check Seaview in most of them. For Washington, we'll be using PRISM. And so when you create a new account and you enter the DOT number to create the account for a customer or carrier, it goes off to PRISM to pull in that information for that DOT number, you know, the company name, address, and things like that. When the permit is issued, we do another call to PRISM to make sure the carrier is not out of service. If the carrier is out of service, the permit will not self-issue. It will go to the permit office, where they can either override that fail or deny the permit. So it will let you finish the application. It's not a hard stop. It will let you finish and submit the application, but it would have to be approved by the permit office if it's going to be overridden. It also does tell you, like at the very beginning, so Kit's going to go ahead and start an application now for a company that fails. So when you pick this company, so does this one fail or?
Yes, when you click the
Okay,
next
sorry.
button, sorry, it may be a little lag in between my screen share and what you're seeing there, Michelle. Sorry.
Yes.
So when you do click the next button, you do get this PRISM check. It says the PRISM check complete. Press OK to continue. As you can see, it tells you the selected company failed PRISM.
So that way, you know, before you complete the entire application and get to the end, you already know it's going to fail PRISM and be submitted to the permit office. So you can decide, you know, your individual business practice, what you do for the carrier at that point. Do you inform the carrier that they're out of service and the permit's not going to self-issue, or do you, you know, do the work and finish the permit application and submit it to the permit office if you think that PRISM out of service is in error somehow? You do have the option to submit it to the permit office and see if they will override that or not. So as Kit gets here to the end of the application, he goes to submit it. It tells you the permit has a status of failed PRISM and it has been submitted and is now awaiting approval. So Natalie has a question. We'll be able to void single trip permits. You will still have the void option in this new system, I believe, until 10 a.m. the following day, right?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. So if we look at one of the permits that we issued just a few minutes ago, earlier today, you'll have this new permit agent void option here. And again, it's only there until 10 a.m. the next morning. If you click that, you do provide a reason. And then confirm that void. And it'll change the status to agent void. It'll also nullify the payments, so that this payment will not show up in your activity reports, and your activity interface. Good question.
The next question from Valerie is, will you still have to purchase a new permit before you can void a permit? So if you do not purchase a permit in your shopping cart, it does go away at midnight of the start date. So it will just automatically go away from your shopping cart if you do not purchase it. A void is only for an issued permit. So if you never pay for it, never issue it, there is no reason to void it. The system automatically gives it a status of no payment on midnight of the start date. So it automatically goes away. You also have the option from your shopping cart if you no longer need that permit and don't want to pay for it, you're able to cancel it from your shopping cart. Kit, would you like to demo that if we haven't already seen that?
Canceling
How
from
you
the shopping.
cancel? Yes.
Yeah. We'll need to start a new permit, so I'll go ahead and just copy this one for ease. How about that? So there's a copy icon that we discussed earlier. I clicked that copy icon, and again, it'll just copy over the information that was preset in the other previous application, and you can't change anything here. You won't be able to change the permit type. And or pre-select our vehicle, and you can change your vehicle if you'd like, or you can just use that same one. All right, you just wanted to see the cancel, Michelle?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have the view permit and the cancel. The view permit is just to view the permit details before it's ever get issued. So you can see there's no permit number. It's got a status of pending payment. And then cancel permits right here. And that one's been successfully canceled.
So Judy gave more content and so did Valerie on what they were asking. So this would be going to the state to answer. Since currently, if you void a permit, you're replacing it with a new permit. That's not something the system enforces. Is that something the state would be enforcing, that you have to order a replacement?
I can answer that. Yes, it is still our policy to have a replacement permit, put that in the void reason. So, wrong then, and then replaced by whatever the new permit is. We can certainly look into or, work on potentially getting a replacement permit box as far with the void, but it's not there quite yet.
Kit, are you able to demo the temporary tonnage permit, please?
Yes. Additional temporary tonnage. As you can see, we got our description here. And we'll need to select our duration. And this duration is in number of days. We'll just enter in our GVW here. Is that correct, Michelle? What would you like?
Yes.
So should we do 50,000?
Yes, that would work. So I think we may need to demo this on the next call. It looks like we don't have it maybe set up quite like it needs to be, because actually all it's going to ask you is how much additional tonnage you need to purchase. So sorry, I shouldn't have thrown Kit under the bus for that one since we were only showing annuals today. So I apologize for that. But we will get this set up so we can show it on our next demo. Kimmy, yes, still daily reconciliation.
Let me check the chat here also, see if we've got any other questions we might have in there. All right, so it looks like we're all good. All right. If there are no more questions, I do want to just give you all a reminder that we do have another training, or a couple more training sessions scheduled for today. There's one this afternoon and also another tomorrow morning. So if you'd like to join for additional training, feel free. We'll run through very similar training sessions along with similar GIS training. And again, if you have any questions in those sessions, we'll be happy to answer those as we go too. So I do want to just hand it over to Justin and Washdot and Angela from Washdot here. If y'all have any other questions, comments, or closing statements for us?
No, not that I can think of right now, Kit. I appreciate you taking the time to go through it and answering everybody's questions. We do, we expect more once we get into the route specific permits. I'm sure that's when we'll have a lot more questions, and this phased approach is going to work well for us.
All right, great. Michelle, did you also have any other closing statements you'd like to give us before we close out this training and head on to our next training later this afternoon?
Other than, I just want to tell everybody how much we appreciate you taking time out of your day to participate in this training. We have additional trainings coming up next week as new functionality is added. We'll be looking forward to your feedback at that time, to what your experience has been so far in the system. And any pain points you may have with the new system, if there's something that we could help with, of course, with approval from the state, we'll be glad to do that as they prioritize those things. So again, thank you for your time today, and we look forward to working with you all.
You're very welcome, Valerie. We appreciate everybody's time today. So, like I said, if you'd like to join us for our additional testing or training sessions, feel free. We'll see you then. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good one.